Breaking news. The day is January 1st, 1938, and we are just being informed of the new atrocities occurring in the city of Nanjing, China. Informants have told us about the Japanese Imperial Army's mass murder and destruction of Chinese citizens and unarmed soldiers. We don't have a clear incentive on Japan's part for this massacre. However, it is believed that the Japanese have an extreme supply shortage with a breakdown in their command structure and wanted to instill fear in the Chinese people.
Yes, Walt, this is heartbreaking news. Nanjing citizens are being hunted down, raped, and executed for no apparent reason by the Japanese. Oh, 1 second. We have Chad on the field with a Nanjing survivor. Let's put him on the air.
Yes, hi Todd. I'm here with Wen Sunshine, who has just escaped from the city. Her voice and her face have been hidden to protect her identification for some time. Take it away, Wen Sunshine.
They took 6 or 7 maidens from the crowd of refugees. I was among those taken. There was also a maiden I recognized. Her name was Little Kiaozi. One Japanese soldier forced me into an empty room. I can remember him being chubby, with a beard. Once we were both in the room, he used a knife to force me to take off my pants. I would be killed if I didn't. I was thus raped in this manner. After the rape, the Japanese soldier turned to me and said, open path," and I was released. In order to avoid the Japanese soldiers coming again to hurt us, that night, the manager of the ferried us, about 18 maidens, to the cellar of the egg-beating room.
Thank you, Wen. Back to you at the desk, Todd.
This is absolutely horrific. Honestly, Walt, from what I'm observing from this testimony and the informant's information, I have reason to believe that these atrocities can be classified as genocide.
Indeed, Todd. And in fact, can someone from the production team please pull up the UN's genocide classification? Yes, thank you. From what I'm seeing here, there are 10 stages of genocide, with the first being classification. The Japanese view the Chinese race and culture as inferior, causing their murder by the thousands. Past genocides had strong symbolization to distinguish the other race, but Japan, represented with the rising sun flag, does not seem to symbolize the Chinese by their widely known symbol, yin and yang.
Yes, Walt, and although they don't symbolize the Chinese, they're heavily discriminating against them. They're viewing them as inferior and using that as a reason to hate them, which is the third stage of genocide. Informants have told us that the Japanese are viewing the Chinese as nothing but targets. They aren't considering them human. The Japanese spread hate propaganda to dehumanize the Chinese and to distinguish them as inferior. Organizations in the fifth stage of genocide, and it is seen as the Japanese soldiers systematically hunt the Nanjing citizens down and gather together in order to perform inhumane acts such as shooting them and letting them burn.
Polarization, the sixth stage of genocide, is also seen as Japan continues to spread hate propaganda and order the killing of all Chinese captives in Nanjing, also threatening to take over the Chinese race and territory. Plans are made in preparation for additional genocide killings on Japan's part by transporting Chinese prisoners of war to remote locations where they are executed and used as examples of Japan's violence. Persecution begins through the deliberate seeking out of Nanjing citizens, where they are identified and put on the agenda to be killed or tormented.
Well, the act of persecution is only the beginning of the next stage of extermination, where Japanese soldiers are encouraged to deal as much pain and destruction to the people and city as possible in an attempt to eliminate the Chinese. Finally, what adds to the worry of the situation's aftermath is the fact that Japan is currently denying its actions openly. The Japanese government makes sure that the media being produced is spread out with false information that changes the story of what is happening in Nanjing completely. Any mention of this atrocious act is quickly denied, and any evidence of the genocide occurrence is covered up.
Thank you, Todd. But I have to quickly interrupt. I am just being informed that Chad has identified a few individuals who are remaining in Nanjing to form a resistance group called the International Committee for the Nanjing Safety Zone. Take it away, Chad. Yes, thanks, Walt. I'm here with a businessman who is a member of the International Committee for the Nanjing Safety Zone, and he is here to tell us all about his organization's goals.
Hello, my name is one Damien Crucifix Plate, and as a member of this committee, I am helping up to set a safe zone for Nanjing citizens still in the city and seek refuge. Our goal is to get as many people as possible into the safe zone in order to reduce the number of people murdered and safely extract them from the city.
Thank you so much for your efforts, sir. The Nanjing citizens really need people just like you. As you can see, Walt, although the global reaction to this incident was just complete shock, there are still some of those who are risking themselves to help those being targeted. Back to you at the desk. Thank you for that, Chad. However, our time on the air is running out. We will report back to you, the audience, in the aftermath of the massacre in Nanjing, hopefully very soon. Hello, everyone. It has been 3 weeks since our last report on the Nanjing Massacre, also known as the Rape of Nanjing. And we are here with some closing thoughts on this genocide and genocide overall. Looking back, it can be assumed that the cause of this genocide lies in the ideas of the Japanese as they developed a strong hatred for the Chinese and intended to completely destroy them because of that hatred. Japan used its armed forces and was fueled by malicious intent, which resulted in thousands of deaths throughout this genocide. This, paired with a lack of action by the people and the Chinese government, led to the continuation of this genocide without any opposition. Todd, can you please tell us about some of the ways to prevent future genocides and what actions were taken in this genocide specifically to help slow it down?
Well, in terms of genocide, little to nothing was done to help the Nanjing citizens, apart from the creation of the Nanjing Safety Zone, which was abandoned soon after its creation. However, we can learn from the errors in the prevention of this genocide, and we can help stop future ones from ever occurring. First and most importantly is education. Generations need to learn about these horrible events in depth and their consequences so that they don't repeat them. Viewpoints based on factual information on the topic of genocide need to be established so that people don't repeat the actions leading up to genocide.
You are completely correct, Todd. Education is extremely necessary. Some other prevention methods include reducing armed conflict and weapons altogether, protecting and prioritizing civilians during conflict, gathering information to set up an early warning and action system, taking swift military action against the group committing genocide, and ending the exemption from justified punishment through proper action in court. In the short term of this genocide, an estimated 300,000 Chinese citizens and unarmed soldiers were massacred by the Japanese Imperial Army, along with the destruction of the city of Nanjing. The long-term consequences harm Japan, as they will surely have shaky relations with other nations, and the Chinese will have a distaste for the Japanese, which will last years upon years, never forgetting what they have done to their nation.
Wrapping up our coverage on this horrid event, societies throughout history have had inequalities and injustice because of hatred, execution, and indifference. The Japanese were conditioned to hate the Chinese through education and persistent degradation, which led to the Nanjing Massacre. The Chinese government also made no attempt to stop the Japanese or help the Nanjing citizens, which led to more atrocities and death. Lack of action, but the encouragement of hatred are the primary reasons for the existence of inequalities in societies.
Thank you, Todd, and thank you, audience, for tuning into this podcast. Until next time.